Hello, everyone. Welcome to Myth Informed, November 13th of 2007. Joining us today is our friend...
2017.
Did I say 2007?
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm 10 years younger. Joining us today is our friend Jill-Michele Meleán. Jill is a very funny...
Hello.
Hey, Jill's a very funny stand-up comedian and film, television actor. You might have seen her on MadTV or possibly Reno 911, among many, many other things. Her new movie is out, This Is Meg, and it's available on iTunes or Amazon. It's always a pleasure, Jilly. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Wow, we're going to have to edit all that.
Absolutely.
Jilly.
I think it's funny. You should keep it all in. That's
all right.
Hilarious.
We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it all in. You have them tongue twisted.
Meg is on Hulu now. It's streaming on Hulu.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So people can see it for, well, not for free because you got to pay for Hulu, but you can stream that on Hulu. That's awesome.
Hey, if you have Hulu, it's definitely free. So definitely stream it, and it's available to the masses now.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to put that in the link. That's awesome. And yeah, speaking of the movie, so we haven't talked since you were in Milwaukee. We did the Milwaukee Comedy Fest with Deborah Wilson, Alana Turner, and yourself. You guys rocked the house. It was awesome having you guys there. I mean, just at Shank Hall, just like so local, it was so cool. But yeah, we haven't talked.
So much fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. You guys were like kayaking in sewer water and stuff.
Yeah, the Milwaukee River.
When we went kayaking, I guess the sewer smell hadn't gone through yet. I think it happens later in the afternoon, apparently. So when we were leaving and we returned the kayaks and we went to go get the car, that's when we smelled it, and we went, "Oh my God, we were so lucky that we didn't."
You just missed it.
Paddle through. Yeah, I must have just done a big dump right there.
Well, it would have blended in, but so we did that show, and then This Is Meg came out, and I loved it. Sarah and I watched it. We actually were dying laughing, but it was interesting. A lot of things in our lives have been happening that have kind of paralleled what the movie was about, and I'll let you explain a little bit more, but essentially the synopsis is, an actress going through some struggles, going through like the normal daily LA life, which we're kind of going to get into later. But
and I think like it appeals to the masses, meaning like it appeals to people that aren't in the entertainment business as well, which I didn't know until people started seeing it and screening it. And I think everyone's relating to the shift that's happening with these YouTube stars, these overnight sensations, these people that really haven't worked on their craft and that are soaring, and you're finding yourself having to work for those people. So there's a weird kind of transition that's happening across the board, because even in schools, my sister's a teacher, and she says it's a popularity contest. I mean, look at our presidency. It's a popularity contest now. It's not about the best player. So I think it's timely, and there's so many layers of This Is Meg, yet it's such a simple concept, but it's very layered.
Well, that was one of the points I wanted to bring up is the YouTube thing. Like, just randomly, we started getting into this game. Like, we didn't want to be a part of it, but now we kind of are. We had some speakers at the last event, and the event that we did went like essentially viral. Some people hated it, some people loved it, but definitely it was very loud. And what attracted all the attention were YouTube stars, and we were called rape apologists and white nationalists and all the other fun stuff.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Yeah, Jill, you hung out with us. We're white nationalists.
Yes,
right?
we now embrace the contrast. I mean, before it used to be like, oh my God, I can't believe people are saying that about me, or whatever. And now everyone's like, hey, keep talking. If it's bad, it's good. It's press, And it's a strange world we're living in right now.
Yeah, and then you can become president with that kind of press, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Exactly. Sean, are you going to run for presidency? I heard that Oprah might run. So
Did she? Is she really?
I heard that. I heard that as well.
No shit.
Yeah, I think what they were just saying, I guess TMZ was on my TV, and I came downstairs and I asked Josh, I was like, what are they talking about? And they're like, they're talking about all these people, these celebrities that say they're going to run. because they said, might as well. The Rock is talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Well, and Kid Rock didn't he set for Michigan, like some kind of senator?
Yeah, something like that. But Dwayne Johnson was going to run with like Tom Hanks. At least that's what they said on Saturday Night Live.
Well, Jesse the Body Ventura, he won. Arnold Schwarzenegger won.
That's true.
Heck, Ronald Reagan won too.
Yeah, Donald Trump. He was
Ronald Reagan.
He was an actor, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he was governor of California before he was president. But what qualifications did Ronnie have when he ran for the governor of California?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he got into state senate before that.
I don't know.
Still.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is like, Schwarzenegger and Reagan, they were involved in politics prior. So, on a smaller scale, they were connected. So it just was kind of a natural progression, that happened. It's still weird, because you're just like, weren't you an actor before, or weren't you, but at least it wasn't so bizarre. This one's just real bizarre, because you're just like, wait, you're known for being a mean person, really? Like, I just don't.
Right, you're known for firing people, right? Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Even in his roast,
enough about him. Let's
that's low hanging fruit in the comedy world. Yeah, that's but.
Well, you say low hanging fruit, and I think of balls. I don't know why, but that's where my brain goes.
But all the world's a stage, It's popularity, like you're saying, and I agree. So one of the questions I had, on the movie. So one of the things that came up, so Meg, your character, the star, is going through all these things, and you meet Lana Turner's character, who's this YouTube celebrity, and it's funny, like your character kind of looks down on her initially because she's like kind of naked, like what are those things called that she has on the I don't know, just around the pasties, yeah. So she just has pasties on, and like her whole bit is like she goes on YouTube, and she's a YouTube star. Is that kind of like how it is in the LA world? Is that like if you're like a mainstream actor, do you kind of like look down on the YouTube people? Is that like how that works?
Well, it's shifting. At the beginning, it was because we were all like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how much training have we had?" And then, because think about like when I was a kid, there wasn't the internet. It was just coming out. So all the little home movies that I did all of those things that all the Vine people do, and the YouTubes. I did them. But there was nowhere to post them, so you didn't share it with the masses. So as I got older, those things take effort and they take work and they take time, and then you start working and you don't have time to do those things. And then you turn around and go, why aren't I working more? What's happening? And you look over and the young kids are doing exactly what you did, but they have somewhere to post it, and they're getting your jobs. And you're like, what? So it's a mind scramble. It really kind of messes with you, and you have to, it's kind of like a Madonna syndrome. I have to, recreate myself. I'm like, what am I going to do this time? Like a virgin, or am I going to be a ray of light? I don't know, but I need to make a change. I need a gimmick. So that's what it's become. It's like you have to just reinvent yourself now, and it's across the board, entertainment, and again, in the fashion industry. I was talking to a big fashion designer the other day, and she said she's struggling because, Rihanna all of a sudden is becoming a fashion designer. And she's like, she didn't go to fashion school, she didn't whatever, but because she wears something and everybody buys it, she now is having a line. And she's like, this is horrible for me. Like, I'm losing so much work because these celebrities all of a sudden come out with these lines, but they're not trained in that. So we're dealing with it everywhere.
Yeah, I think the newscasters are facing the same thing. So many people are getting their news from YouTube. In fact, like the one organization that has a lower approval rating than Donald Trump is actually the mainstream media outlets. And Philip DeFranco is a YouTuber that has like 5 million plus subs, and a lot of people grab his news because they consider him to be less biased.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
And he didn't go to journalism school. I don't believe like everybody else. It's just he's good.
Right. He didn't go to journalism school. So I think that what we need to do is just dig a hole and we all crawl into it and die. I think that would be the best thing for all of us.
Wow. We got to the dark part of Meg. And that's one of the things I did want to point that out.
I want French fries in my hole, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that makes everything better.
Totally, so much better.
Yeah, and well, yeah. Before we get off the YouTube thing, yeah, so we have been working with a lot of the YouTube creators, and it's interesting because they've amassed just giant audiences. And one thing I have noticed is they do work hard. Most of them, most of the popular ones, they are constantly cranking out content because you have to stay relevant in that world. But the other thing I'm noticing too is with this adpocalypse, the thing where they can't make as much money off of their videos as they once could because of, YouTube's cracking down. So I wonder if that's going to change that game too, because, I was already kind of thinking, like a lot of these shows are really good. If you move them off of those platforms onto something else, could it survive? But they're not making as much money as they used to. So that's interesting.
They're not. It's another transition that is coming, that's happening. It was just like kind of how it happened when, there was a writer's strike and a lot of the A-list celebrities that for films were coming to television. Mm-hmm. Now it's very common to see those stars on TV, just, a regular network show where you used to have TV actors and movie actors. And then that crossed over. And then now this YouTube thing, and it's always changing. So right now we're just feeling the wrath of this one, but there'll be another change that's going to happen. But I have to say this to you guys, because I don't know if you know this, but, I love that you guys are like super cool about like spirituality and everything, because I totally manifested my movie, This Is Meg. I wrote this, and then December I booked a movie, and I didn't even know what the movie was, and I booked it the same day. They called and said, "You're working tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I get the script, and I'm looking at the call sheet, and I went on IMDb, couldn't find any of those people, those names. I was like, "Who are these people?" And then I thought, you know what? It's a paycheck. It's work. I love to work. I'm just going to go have a good time. Showed up to the set, YouTube stars.
Really? Awesome.
Yes. It's a big film, and I'm really excited about it, and I embraced it. And these kids were so lovely. And I don't even say they're kids because they're like 30.
Right. Yeah.
But because of the way they act, because of YouTube, they seem like kids, And it's like, I had such a great time on the set. And then I told them what happened. I said, I IMDb'd you guys, and nothing came much. Goes, oh, yeah, no one uses that anymore. Everyone Googles. You have to Google now, because IMDb is nothing anymore, because all the actors, there's so many YouTube stars and there's so many social media stars.
Very true.
Yeah, you would probably be smart to just put it into YouTube and see what comes up.
Yeah, and it's funnily enough, that's what we do now. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy though? I was like, oh my God, I made this happen.
Yeah.
Were they big? Were they well known, or smaller ones?
Are you able to mention any of their names, or is this top secret?
The girl that plays my daughter is Nikki Limo.
Okay.
So I can tell you that name. Yeah, okay. Nikki Limo. She's got a big following, and she has like a show. Her and her husband have some kind of show. But she's actually older, but looks very young. She looks like a little kid.
Okay.
And like she wears like the ears and like the colors, like the rainbow colors and all that kind of stuff, which I'm moving more towards Chanel. So, so I can play her mom. So.
Oh boy, I doubt that, but yeah, we'll have to see. That's interesting.
I know. I mean, you're so funny. I doubt that.
Yeah,
unicorn shirt.
Well, no. I saw you in the Eden magazine November edition, so I know that's not true. People go check that out. That was an awesome article. That
was a great article. Thank you.
Yeah, how did that happen?
That happened because a friend of mine that I've known for years became one of their ambassadors or something like that, and she invited the owner of the magazine to come to our screening at the Man's Chinese Theater of This Is Meg. And after the movie, she said, "I'd love to sit down with you and talk to you about a possible article." And I said, "Okay," and we went and had lunch. And she's an animal activist, and she's very much about empowering people and their beliefs and their entrepreneurship and spirituality. And I was like, oh my gosh, can we show the three aspects of my life that are really, prominent in my life, which is, acting and being a comedian, but also, working out. And because fitness is such a huge part of my life as an athlete, and, not taking medication for for ADHD or anything because of eating healthy and working out. It's really helped me focus. And then the other aspect of it is the spirituality and being grounded, and like, you know, my dog Jack, which like keeps me so grounded, and it's just the unconditional love. So she was like, I love that. And then we did it, and it was so wonderful. And my sister got to write the article, which is, because my sister's a big writer, she's a journalist. So she was able to write the article. And then my boyfriend, Josh, was able to do the photographs because he does photography. So it was like this whole like family, effort. And I love that we got to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was a great article, and we'll link it in the show notes. It was really, really cool, and it's like cool. It's like, oh, there's Jilly. Oh, no big deal. There's just Jilly in this.
Yeah, we just know her. We kayak with her.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, no big deal. Whatever. But
we kayak and poop.
Is there any way the YouTube movie? Are you able to talk about that one at all, or is that off limits, or is that still in production?
That one's in post-production, so I can't talk about it yet, but I will definitely let you guys know.
Yeah, let us know. Let us. That's like bizarre because our whole like last 3 months of our like whole thing has been around YouTube, which is weird. And I've been thinking about like, how does YouTube transition into the mainstream? And it sounds like this is like one of those instances. So it's really
happening.
That's really interesting.
A lot of film, they're coming to the over to film. And I know I'm not the only one. Carlos Alazraqui actually went in, him and Joe Reitman, which are both in This Is Meg.
Right.
They went into the same audition. And again, it was another huge YouTube star and a different film. But they were both called me, and they're like, oh, my gosh. They're like, oh, my God, This Is Meg is real. And I'm like, you guys, this is hilarious. Like it's all happening.
That's so cool. That's so bizarre.
And it seems like there's a decent amount of interaction that could go on in YouTube. Like, it's not totally uncommon to leave a comment on a video and then get something back. And you're like, wow.
Right.
And you thought, well, I could probably never communicate with, some of the big guys. Like James Cameron's never going to like email me back or something. But with YouTube, you could, especially as they're building up. I think that's kind of unique. Maybe if you feel closer in that way.
Yeah.
So
yes, but there's a whole thing called interactions, which I'm sure you guys know about that. And you get more views based on interactions. There's an algorithm. So that's why they interact so much.
Oh, I did not know that.
So, and also, you didn't know? Okay, so that's why. So interaction's a big part of, so you just don't post. You have to interact. And then they'll suggest to you, they'll send you an email, YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and they'll say, hey, make sure that you reply to these people, and that will boost your popularity or whatever. So they're encouraging people to do that. That's why these YouTube stars started a really interesting kind of baseline. Mm-hmm. And so everyone now is trying to follow it because they've realized that, that's what gets them more popularity. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's gonna transition again. There's gonna be another transition because this is now it's kind of oversaturated. Everybody has a show. Everybody, so it's like, okay, so what's the next little thing that's gonna happen here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wildly decentralized now. Yeah. I mean, you can't possibly watch all this content.
Well, there's a really interesting project that it's an international project. It just launched in LA. It's called Black Pills. And this platform's interesting. James Franco, somehow they got Franco to kind of be a part of one of their pilot shows. And what was funny about it is, like, I started looking into it because I was thinking, okay, natural transition for YouTube stars, maybe something like this, because this platform, it's bizarre. It's streaming, but it's only app driven. You can only get it on an app. So, like, people that don't know how to use apps are like left at the door. So obviously their audience is skewing very young because it's just app based. And I thought that was fascinating. I was like, that's there, and they poured millions into this thing. So it's like, wow, could that be the next step? I don't know.
I swear it's the funniest thing because, my niece and nephew, they don't even watch the television.
Yeah.
They watch everything on their phones.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's so tiny. Don't you guys want to like see it on the bigger screen? They're like, no, we're fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ew.
I know. And even even televisions have apps now, like it's crazy. It's crazy.
No, exactly.
I know. I like the big screen. I'm sorry. I want to hear the surround sound.
Yes.
I want to see every detail of that, their pores and their clothing. Like, I love that.
Right,
Exactly.
and feel the bass sometimes. Like, if it's an action movie or something.
Yeah.
Or got music. Yeah.
Yes, I want to feel like they're in the room with me. If I could have a TV that big that they're life size like a movie theater, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And then I guess the last thing on Meg, one of the things that really hit me was obviously the movie was hilarious. Deborah Wilson's character was like lights out. Like, I loved
so
it.
good.
It was unbelievable. And Lana, it was so funny. Like, I don't want to do too many spoilers, but then you end up hooking up with Lana. I don't want to say when, but that was really cool. But there's that one part when, everything's funny and everything's great. And then you have that, I just thought there's an amazing scene where you just started breaking down. And I was like, wow, that's some real emotion there. Like I could never pull that out.
Well, I think the biggest beauty of that film, This Is Meg, was because since I was the producer on it, and since Alex and I are so close, the director, I was able to look at playback, every time. And that was a scene that I didn't want it to be, because it was written that it's a big breakdown. That's the way it's written. That it's kind of like, when you just let it all out. And it's like a detox. But when we shot it, we actually shot it that way. And I went to watch playback and I went, no, that's not it. And Alex looked at me and he goes, what? Because it was so my story that he really allowed me to come in there and make it more truthful instead of just his vision. He cinematically, was very visionary with the shots and all that kind of stuff. But when it came to the performance, he really allowed me to dive in deep and to criticize myself. And when I looked at it, I went, that's not it. I have to go more in. I have to go in. And I really grabbed from an actual experience in my life that really made me feel as though I was so small. And I went small with it as opposed to wah, and getting really upset. It went small, and it was like a panic attack, like a true panic attack that people have when you put so much on you, and you put so much on you, and everyone thinks you're so strong, and everyone thinks that you're okay, and everyone's like, oh, they'll get through it, and you're like, I can't, and you just crumble. So it was a very, very truthful moment that I pulled from, and just as quickly as Meg got out of it is how I get out of it, because you sit there and you release it, and then you're like, okay, back to work. All right, let's go. Yeah.
I think
that's like a light switch. That's really amazing.
It was amazing on film, but I think it really illustrated what a lot of people go through all the time, especially with like more of the fast-paced life that we're in. I mean, even we felt it when we were going through this harassment campaign. It just, it builds up and you just, you think you're going nuts. And yeah, that was just a beautiful like portrayal of like how it feels, and then the next second how you have to get right back on the horse. Yeah. Thank
you. I'm glad you guys got to, experience that too, because that's something, it's a very vulnerable place to be in as a filmmaker, is that you really want people to feel the story. You want them to be able to lose themselves in that story and relate to that story. And same thing as a comedian, even though as far-fetched as our jokes are and as cartoonish as some of my jokes might become, there's an essence of truth there. And if I can take you into that world for that minute or that hour or wherever, then I feel like I have a purpose. Like I feel like, okay, I was able to give a gift to you, and that makes me. It's like, I don't know. It's like almost, it's my drug. When I see laughter and when I see people come up to me and go, oh my gosh, I've been through this. Thank you so much. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. I'm like, yay! It's so joyful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what it did for me. And yeah, just watching, I was like, wow, that's a lot of what what people go through, with how fast paced life is and all that stuff. And I wanted to,
good material. I've gotten a lot of mileage off when your comedy special, you were talking about like the emotion of Latina women that you have in you. Yeah. And you were saying, and this is the kind of emotion where you slap them in the face. And that means I love you. Like I've used that at work a couple of times. People love it. So I'm borrowing liberally.
No, that's fine. Just make sure you give me credit.
That's hilarious. So,
it's very true though. It's a very passionate men. You know how passionate we are.
Oh yeah.
And it's like we're not gonna. It's the funniest thing is that I remember I was on a date. This was like a year ago. I had dated this guy for a little while, and that wasn't serious with him. And he had gotten to a point where there was too many feelings involved, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was kind of like, oh, come on. Like, just grab some, grow some balls. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, but I was quiet. And then he said a comment that was really strange. He goes, yeah, I better do that so then we don't get too close and then get upset because we can't make this work and then you slash my tires or something. And I went, what? And I looked across the table and I just didn't want to, I didn't even say anything because at that point I was like, I don't even care. Mm-hmm. But in my heart, I wanted to tell him, that's too much effort.
Yeah.
You realize that?
We're not close enough for me to want to slash your tires at this point.
Exactly. I'm like, first of all, it's not easy to slash a tire. You got to get a good knife. And then you got to really puncture that thing. And it's like, that hurts right there. And then if you're in public and someone could see you, and then I could possibly get arrested, and you're totally not worth going to jail for. Like, it was like this whole story went in my brain. And I was like, you're an idiot. Anyways.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I feel that way. Yeah. I would never do anything that's super. I will threaten you, but I will not.
Yeah, he's got to get into all four chambers of your heart before you're going to do that, right? You can't just be in one of the vessels.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I keep seeing advertised, and I was dying to ask you, I guess we'll ask you on air, this project with Carlos Alzraki. I keep seeing something talked about. Good. With a project with him, like, can you talk about that yet, or is that still tightly wrapped?
Well, we have a big meeting on the 30th. Stop, be quiet. I'm on the phone. So, we have a huge meeting on the 30th, and after that, I could possibly say something.
Okay.
But I'll tell you about it. It's a script that we wrote, and it's a comedy horror film, and awesome. And it's kind of like Shaun of the Dead meets The Godfather.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Every 15 seconds you're laughing out loud. It is silly, fun. It's written so well. We did a table read. People were going crazy over it. So I'm really hoping that our meeting on the 30th does well and we can go into pre-production, and then I'll be able to say things and start posting things. And then I'll probably be calling you because we might need favors from you guys too to come on and help us and have a good time. And now it's great because of making this as Meg. We've proven as a filmmaker for myself, I've proven this is what I can do for X amount of dollars. Now give me more money. Yeah. So that's why I did Meg.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I was always a big Evil Dead fan. I think that's a Sam Raimi. Yeah, that's a kind of comedy horror that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, does that fit? Is that the genre? Is that comedy horror? The Evil Dead?
That would be. Evil Dead is a little bit more bloody, but it is definitely that kind of genre. It's going to bring out that cult following of like Evil Dead. It's more. I want to say more. We're leaning more towards definitely Shaun of the Dead. If you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead, you're gonna love this.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to hear more because I keep seeing it like advertised, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So that's exciting.
We're making the secret project over here.
Oh, I can't wait. And I know he's got Rocco's Modern Life. It sounds like they're finally moving forward on that new movie. So that'll be awesome too. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of stuff in the in the mix that's going on. So I'm excited for 2018 because I think 2017 was a strange year for a lot of people. Yeah. I was happy in 2017, but I think a lot of people were struggling, and I think everyone's ready for 2018, and they're going to greenlight a lot of great things because a lot of caca has happened this year, with the natural disasters and politics and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say there's definitely a lot of roles opening up. What the hell's going on in Hollywood with all of this? I don't even know what to call it. Crop up, dust up. I don't even know what to call this craziness.
And again, I had mentioned something earlier to you. I am so happy because as a comedian, we joke a lot, with people. And I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and I was saying, I'm really happy I'm not super, super famous because I would totally be getting hit up with so many lawsuits right now. Because how many times I've looked at a guy that's really good looking, and I've been like, hey, you should take your shirt off, Why not? Just do it. So it's like, oh my God, I'd be in so much trouble. And a lot of people are being accused that are comedians.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I want to go to bat for them and be like, hey, we all joke around like that, dude. Like, seriously, if you're taking that really seriously, then you have an issue because we're all kidding and we're all playing around. We used to, on MadTV, when we had the sexual harassment meeting, we were all like, this is stupid because we're always joking with each other that we're like, oh, well, we've already said that. We've already said that. We've already said that. Oh, we're totally going to get in trouble because we've already said that. And now people are surfacing from 10, 15 years that are saying, oh, yeah, you said this to me or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? I don't remember what happened yesterday, let alone 10 years ago.
Right.
Like,
That's a good point.
And it seems like they're applying the standard retroactively. The one that's freaking me out, or the one that I just find absurd, is the one on George Takei, the Star Trek guy. Like,
oh my God, another one? I didn't even hear that one.
This is a complaint from 1981.
Jeez.
So I did the math. That's 36 years ago.
That's when I was born.
And right.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, right. He claims that, he was getting in his pants. The guy was drunk. Well, he admitted that he was, talking to George, getting his counsel and blah, blah, blah. And then one night he's remembering, I guess 36 years ago, that he woke up drunk. Apparently Takei was supposed to be in his pants. Like, Takei denies all this. But he claims, he goes, look, I don't want to press charges. I just want an apology. Well, then why go public to me?
Right.
Like, just contact him, Twitter him, or email him or something. It's just, get your apology. Why? It seems to me disingenuous. You want
because
more than
everyone
that.
wants their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
That's why.
And that
is
sad.
why these people that are stepping forward, look, some of them have, legit accusations.
Right.
I get that. But then there's a whole other that are all surfacing that just want their name in a paper. They want to be talked about on TMZ. And it's like, come on, like it's getting ridiculous now. I even have one friend that he got stepped down from a huge network. They said goodbye to him, and I feel for him. I really do, because he's a comic. He jokes around, and I'm like, holy crap! And he can't deny that he didn't say those things, because he did, but he was joking.
Yeah.
So
that's what's scary.
And he's married and has a family. Like, he would never do anything. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah. That's what's scary. It's like, if, obviously the people coming out that have like legitimate, harassment suits or, legitimate bad things happen to them, I totally get it. But, now you're creating this platform for others to come out just to ruin other people.
Right.
And
devalue the real ones.
And devalue the real ones.
Yeah.
Real ones, right? So, like, what do you do? Like, it's a really...
Yeah. And then what do you do?
I'll say this too, as a female in this business, I've had lots of this. It's been very difficult. And there are major players that I'm not going to come and step forward and talk about, because I know as an actress, I put myself in that situation. I walked away because it was creepy and weird. I chose not to follow through with it. Did it hurt my career? Yes, but as an actress, I knew what I was stepping into. I already knew they were creeps. They're all creeps. At the top like that, when there's power, anywhere there's power, it can be entertainment, it can be in law, it can be
religion,
construction workers, it can be religion, it can be whatever. There's always the power creates creeps, and they think that they keep pushing the envelope. So it's like, that as a human being, you're in circumstances that are uncomfortable, and then you choose to make a different choice. You know, it does suck because there are times that I've looked at billboards and I've saw the girl that slept with the director and I didn't. And I said, I could have been there and I could have done that. But you know what? It didn't happen. And I'm okay with that. You know, I go, you know what? I wouldn't have been okay if I did that and I would be on a billboard right now. I don't think I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So it really is about yourself and taking ownership and saying, you know, do I love myself more? And I don't think these people love themselves more. They were a victim of insecurity and vulnerability, and these people of power saw that and took advantage of it. Is it right? Absolutely not. But at the same time, that's you put yourself in that situation. You know, just like when celebrities were punching out photographers for a while.
Right.
They're like, hi, this is your job.
Right.
You know, so it's like we're going to encounter, especially in the entertainment industry, you're going to encounter more sleazeballs. You're going to encounter because the desperation is so high. Everyone wants to be a star. Everyone wants to be a star. So what are you going to do? What's your price?
Yeah.
You know, I'm again, and I don't want anyone to ridicule me because I'm not saying it's right. However, I'm saying this is part of it. It is part of it. And I love that people are standing up and they're saying no more to it. And I love that. But the accusations of, like, you guys are saying, like, 36 years ago and stuff like, you know, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. What is the solution then? Like, I mean, because some of them are real. Like Louis C.K. came out and kind of said, you know, I did a whole host of bad things. You know, what's the right, you know, consequence? Like, what you know, what advice?
Yeah, because it's interesting because, like,
how does it get...
if we're, you know, Brian and I, we have normal jobs. I would say normal being, you know, meaning like 9 to 5 or whatever. So, like, if we did some shit like that, you're fired. You know, you're out of here, you're fired.
Right.
But when you're like an independent, when you are an entertainer, somebody that, you know, obviously in Louis' case, he just lost a movie. He lost, you know, a bunch of stuff, bunch of projects that he was working on, you know. So there is consequences there. But, like, what... I guess that's the tough thing. It's like, you know, how much, what is enough is enough? Like, how much do people get punished? Like, what is the, you know, it's so, like, it's so hard. Like, you know, yeah.
Well, you guys know with anything, it's extreme. You got to go to the extreme to find the balance. So I think right now it's going to be extreme for how long, I don't know. And then it'll balance out, you know, but it's a little much. You know, but I'm hoping, just like, you know, even with going back to politics, with this radical turn that we've done, that because we had to go so far crazy like that to show everybody, to remind them that, hey, we are America. Hey, we are the land of the free. Hey, we vote. We voted this person in. What the hell? You know, it's like, it's showing you that you need to have a little bit more education before you actually follow through with something. We can't just be like, we can, you know, so it's like, we had to go there though, because we were becoming so, and this is all my perspective, please, you know, I don't know for the rest of the world at all, but it's, you know, we became so complacent. Like when Obama was in, people were finding things that were awful with him because they just wanted to find something that was awful. And he was actually really great. You know, yes, we're dealing with a lot of things that not everybody, you know, agrees with, but he was a great representation of what America is. He was calm, he was solid, he was educated, he was respectful, and then, but that wasn't good enough. So now we had to go the opposite way to go, oh, he was actually okay. You know, and now people hopefully can find a balance in the next election and they can educate themselves and we can make a wiser decision next time. So again, translating it over to Hollywood, it's going to go extreme for how long, I don't know. And then we're going to find a nice balance, I'm hoping. And we're going to find a balance where women's rights go a little bit, you know, we are a little bit more pay. And, you know, our characters are stronger, you know, more female leads. And we, you know, more female producers, you know, because I can't stand it. I mean, I've been on set, even on my film, you know, there was someone on set that called me sweetie, and I flipped out. And I said, you don't do that. You don't disrespect me on my set. And they were like, what? Oh my God, it was a term of endearment. And I said, would you call a man a sweetie?
Yeah.
And they went, no. And I go, then you need to stop that right now.
Right.
And they were like, okay. And they got kind of attitudey, but I'm like, I'm sorry. No, we're working. I'm a producer. and you don't call your producer a sweetie
Right.
Yeah.
on the
That's a
set.
good point.
Just don't do it.
But you stopped the behavior, right?
Yeah.
And nothing has to really happen. And I think that sometimes we can have more compassion for ignorance.
Yeah.
And deal with that in that way of, just teach. This is the way how we want to be treated. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes. Yes.
That it seems like that we don't have any compassion for ignorance right now, and it just goes to outrage. And I
that's a
think
good
that we
point.
should,
Well, yeah, that's
and also
interesting,
a more
yeah.
focus on ethics is just when you get, like you said, when you're powerful. I always look at Tiger Woods when he was cheating on his wife, and I thought, man, this guy is a young, famous, good-looking billionaire who is an expert in his field. Like, your chances of being faithful start to approach zero because you're so powerful. Like that, that things just happen. Like, how are you going to be able to do this? I think that if you win the lottery and now you've gone from regular guy to $100 million, your life is not the
completely
same.
different.
You may not even be able to keep your friends. Everything changes. And that's what I think. So maybe a focus on ethics is, when you
I agree with you. I mean, it really is. And I used to say it was the parenting, but I think it's as I get older, I realize that there are some great parents and the kids still turn out horrible because it's about you wanting to be a seeker, you wanting to be a better human being, you wanting to educate yourself. And that's what we're here for the human experience. We're here to enjoy this planet. We're not here to get caught up in crap and stupid things. We're here to go and explore and see trees and make a difference and do an awesome podcast where you're talking to people in the masses and, making them laugh and having them escape from the people that are being mean to them, and they can just laugh for a little bit and feel like, okay, yeah, that's why I'm here. And, there's such a bigger picture than when people just go and they focus on that one thing. But I'm guilty of it too. We have to, that's why meditation is so important. That's why prayer is so important, because you've got to center yourself. You've got to realize that we are all connected. And if we're all energy, and what we put out is what we receive back. That's why I don't even watch the darn news, because it's like, if I just hear that negativity over and over and over and over and over again, it's going to get in my system, And so I would rather go, give me some Cliff Notes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing that can go as you get more popular. And I can give up the discipline here because, but that's how. Maybe that's the first step to starting to losing your principles.
But like you said, you're in a completely if you're just regular average guy, whatever, and then all of a sudden you get $100 million, your life changes, or an average.
I don't think you can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. So
especially that meteoric rise without the ethics that are already in place.
But what I'm interested in, Jilly, I guess from your perspective, I mean for me, the comedy world has always been kind of like my getaway where I can go and watch something and, people have no filter. They can say whatever the fuck they want whenever they want, and it's like that for me is so freeing because it's like, you're so stuck in boxes a lot of times where you have to watch what you say and blah, blah, blah. And then you get to go into the comedy world and you see people that are just saying ridiculous things to be controversial. Does something like this change the industry? Is this going to have that effect where, now we have to watch what we say, or, there are things that are off limits? Like, what do you think?
I'll say no, just because we do push the envelope constantly. Will we get ridiculed? It depends if there's someone in the audience that is being a jerk and wants to write up about it or whatever. But I think the majority of people, when they're coming to a comedy club or talking to a comedian, they want to laugh. They want to break from everything that's going on. So and it's difficult. Like when people don't know me and I'm making jokes, they look at me like, oh my God, and then I have to go, I'm a comedian, I'm sorry, and they still are like, inappropriate. So I realized that there is a time and place, and you have to be careful, because if they don't know you, and I'm going to speak out for Louis C.K. right here and say, I've been to his shows. I've been there. This man is probably one of the nicest men you've ever met. These women throw themselves at him.
I know.
And these women throw themselves at a lot of comedians because they want a piece of it. I've had women throw themselves at me, and I'm a straight girl. but I've had men throw themselves at me. There is something beautiful about the power of laughter, and it's kind of like that rock star, but with laughter. And these people they just do. It's like you hear those stories about people throwing their panties on the stage. I've seen it happen in a comedy show. So anyways, I'm just defending him because if a woman came on to him and he said something that was disrespectful, it's because these women throw that energy of like, oh my God, like they would lift their shirts up to show their boobs. Like that is the type of people that are coming in and saying, oh, he said these things, It's that crazy audience fan, and they just want a piece of it. So it's sad. It's really sad what's happening, especially with the comedians. I don't agree with that at all because we're always joking around.
Yeah.
If there was something that he put his hands on somebody or hurt somebody, then I understand that's completely wrong. But we say really messed up stuff all the time. Especially if we put a mic in our hand, we're like,
right. And that's what I love about it. It was so sad for me, like with Louis, like, God, like he's like one of my he's just a comedic god in my opinion, and it was just so sad to see all of this. And it's like, you're right, he is such a super nice guy. I mean, I remember I was at Meltdown Comics, and he just showed up and did like a set because he was trying out new material to like 20 people. I mean, like he was just so low key and just down to earth. And it's like, man, it just sucks. Like, seeing what he's going through now. And like, he's a guy I always point to, like with a lot of the jokes that he talks about with like religion and things like that. And, it sucks. And it's like, how do you bounce back from this? Or do you bounce back from this?
It seems like, the world is all backwards. Remember how you couldn't have like smoked weed or done anything to be president. Right? That you had to almost be this perfect thing because they were going to look at it, and like to be president, you had to really be a goody two shoes. Now we've got a president that's really done a lot of crazy things, and now we're looking at our comedians and everyone else and scrutinizing their life. So I think everyone is being held to that presidential standard, except for maybe the president's. It's weird. And
and that's a great point that you just said, because I actually had that conversation the other day. I said, there's a part of me that thinks that Hollywood is going crazy because we are such a different, we're like a separate state than the rest of America.
Right.
Because it's the entertainment world, it's Hollywood. We're pumping out these movies and it's a very surreal world to live in over here. It's
very high
different.
stress.
Everyone's beautiful. And, it's just like this strange town,
Yeah.
And because we didn't get the president we wanted, and because he was so gross, like about grabbing this woman's pussy and all this horrible things, it's like we're going the opposite way and getting really defensive to show that we couldn't control that, but we can control this. And so that's why for when Weinstein came out, that's initially what my instinct was. And I was like, good for Hollywood, good for them. And then now all these other things are showing me like, okay, Hollywood, relax. Calm down a little bit. We've proven our point.
Right. Well, I think a lot of that, though, is frickin' social media. I mean, I saw the thing on Takai and someone else today. That's Twitter's number. It's like when you're on the home screen, it's like their whatever, like their number one picture on the top. It's like, seriously, like we're destroying somebody. We don't know, and that's the thing. Like, I don't feel educated enough. I don't know what Louis did to these women. Like, it sounds like he asked them if like he could masturbate in front of them, and whether or not, they said yes or no. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't, what is this?
I wasn't there either. Yeah.
And it's like, we're just going to blast this on social media where it's like, here it is. I mean, just imagine being in that position. And, like with the Takai thing, that sounds even more suspect.
That one,
it's like, I saw that one blasted.
Legs,
I saw it blasted on Twitter too. He was the number one story. And it's like, man, like, come on, like we got to have a little like professionalism,
right?
Here,
and I'm content to just stay out of it to some extent because it's not my business.
No, right? Exactly.
And to judge slowly.
I feel like dirty being a part of it. It's like this should be in the court. Like why am I like you're like a voyeur at that point? It's like I don't.
And if no laws are broken and apologies are owed, then again,
exactly.
I'm not owed them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, well, I told somebody at the poker table the other night, because I was playing a celebrity poker table, I got really upset at them because they were just being a bully at the table. And I said some not nice things. And afterwards, I didn't apologize. And then I thought, oh, my God, you're going to put a bunch of stuff on Twitter about me and say I'm like horrible and all these kind of things. Like, I just started thinking that because I was like, that's what somebody can do in their perspective.
Yeah.
They can look at that situation, take it out of context,
Yep.
and then be like, oh my God, she's horrible, and she said all these things to me, and she did that. And then, because there was a part where I was like, I'm taking you down. Like, I was so mad because I was like, I don't like bullies.
Yep.
And there's a bully at this table, and this is a damn charity. And I'm like, you're going out. Like, I did. I took him out. So but it's
out of the poker game, I'm thinking.
What's that?
Out of the poker game, right?
Out of the poker game.
Right, you didn't whack him.
I didn't kill him. That's too much work, remember? Too much work. Too much work.
Yeah. Well, it's scary because, like, we went through it on social media. Just because you see something doesn't mean it's true. I mean, we went through months of people lying about us, calling us Nazis and everything else. And the problem is, like, when people see this, they don't, they're not educated enough to what's actually happening. We're actually getting bullied, but the bullies are making us look like the bad guys. And it's like, that's part of like this weird feeling I have with like all these actors and comedians that are like going through this shit now too, because it's like, you don't even know who to believe anymore. And it's really, the social media world's like the Wild West right now.
Especially when you're being the bully, but you're taking it from a point of being a victim.
The victim.
That is
the victim
really
bully.
bad.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
That's messed up in the brain, isn't it? You're like, what?
That's the worst kind of bully. I mean, it's like I can have a tiny bit of respect for the other one that's just, okay, well, I'm just an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you're coming from this disingenuous point of playing the victim, that hypocrisy plus bullying, that's infuriating.
Well, yeah, and Jilly, we really appreciate your perspective on that because obviously we're not in Tinseltown, so we'd, you're our eyes on the ground.
And again, it's all perspective. I mean, I'm sure you talk to somebody else, they have a different take on it. But being in this industry for, 17 years and experiencing the sexual harassment, which I have in the past, for me, I mean, funny is how I get out of things. And funny is my power. And that's how I get people to leave me alone is, oh, she's funny. Mm-hmm. So, because they'll hit on me, but then I make them laugh and they're like, she's crazy. Oh my God. And they walk away. And that's good for me because it makes me feel safe. But I've been there. I've been in these situations. My career would be different if I did a lot of certain things. But again, it's an understood thing in this industry and in many industries. And
that's true.
Not that it's right. And I hope that it does change something now. But because it's been going on before, we were ever born. Mm-hmm. I mean, when it was Marilyn Monroe, like Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, I mean, there were 5 women that were the top leads of each studio, and they were available for those men at any time, So it's like, that's this business. It's gross. I get it. And I'm glad maybe this will change some stuff. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah. But I do hope that we do find a balance, and those people that are, they saying that they said things, not as opposed to doing things. They were never raped. They were never whatever. They just were they said, hey, nice tits, and then now they're like, you said the nice tits to me 45 years ago. Yeah. Like, well, I'm not even 45, so that can't even be possible. Yeah. This is what's, going on right now. So hopefully that will balance out, and then we can have, like a new kind of perspective on this, type of, I call it bullying, That's why I look at it. It's very much a bully to say, you have to do these certain things to get this. And, and I hope that we're going to enter like a new generation.
Yeah, it's interesting. And who knows, maybe it's YouTube. Maybe the YouTubes.
Exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to have some time to actually talk to you off air. But what do you have coming up? I know, is the stand-up special coming out anytime soon?
Yes, we're in the final audio mix, finally. Awesome. So it's on the back burner for a while because we were so focused on Meg, and I was trying to get this other screenplay launched. So as soon as that's locked in, we'll start taking it around, figure out what the best deal is, and then I will let you guys know ASAP. And but it will definitely be out there to the masses. Just which platform, I'm not sure yet.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to plug? Anything you want us to mention?
No, everyone, please go to Hulu. Watch
Yes.
This Is Meg. If you don't have Hulu, you can rent it on Amazon or purchase it on Amazon or iTunes, same thing. And I really hope that you guys enjoy it. You know, it's a little film that has a lot of heart, and it's just a simple kind of LA story about the relationships that go on in LA. And I'm sure people that live in Kansas and live in Ohio and can relate that there's somebody in their life that acts like this.
Yep.
And if anything, they can just laugh for you know, an hour and a half. And I find it funny because when we started filming this movie, my goal was initially to go out and make a serious film, and we're just funny people, so it became comedy. So
yeah, just naturally, and you can tell it's
happen.
Yeah, you can tell it's natural too, because like you can see like the chemistry between all of you guys as friends. It's really cool to see that play out, and it was just an awesome movie. I can't recommend it enough. Now that it's on Hulu, well, I already own it on Amazon, but now it's on Hulu. That's awesome. But yeah, Jilly, thanks.
Owning it's so much better.
Well, it sounds like we got to bring you back on because there's 2 projects we need to talk about, and so who knows? Maybe Hollywood implodes. Maybe we'll have to have you on after that. But Jilly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. We're going to have you on soon. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're going to sign off so I can talk to Jilly off air. That's one of my perks.
All right, very good. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and go to jillyonline.com, guys, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Myth Informed. Myth Informed is brought to you by Mythicist Milwaukee. Producer Sean Frasick, associate producers Fritz Blondone and Kristen Whitaker Hood, engineer Josh Benishek, and hosts Brian, Dimitri. Every week, we produce a new podcast that sheds light on religion, secularism, and mythology. If you enjoy this show, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mythicist. Mythicist Milwaukee also brings major secular conferences and debates to the Milwaukee area, along with community events, both local and online. To support us in bringing future events, become a member at mythicistmilwaukee.com to receive member-only benefits. You can also visit mythicistmilwaukee.com and hit the donate button located at the bottom of each page to place a financial donation amount of your choice. And now, the closing theme, written and performed by Shelley Siegel.
Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? No, they are all myths, and who will be the next to die? There was a time when everyone believed Helios in the sun, Poseidon in the sea, Athena's wisdom and beauty, and Hades underneath, Isis of fertility, and ether of the Greeks. They all lie at rest, and who will be the next to die? You know they are all myths, and who will